Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Investor. I'm Susie.
And I'm Michael, and we're excited you joined us for this adventure.
And today's great guest is Melanie McDaniel! Woo! Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a pleasure that you're here. And just for our listeners, Michael and I actually met Melanie, lo and behold, at Brian Briscoe's meetup. It seems to be like a very common theme, which was awesome. But like something that stood out about you, which I loved, was the whole, like digital nomad, like going everywhere, doing your own thing, but doing your own thing where you want to do it, right? Because that's like the biggest part of it all. And so like I was just truly amazed by your love for travel and that you're actually doing it, right? Because there's so many of us out there who love travel and don't actually like fill that hole or fill that need to do it. So it's really cool that you're in this space.
Yeah, I mean, it's my life, right? So I got to do what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of your life, would you mind sharing a little bit about your background and like why you started investing in real estate, Melanie?
Okay, well, I'm from Utah, of all places. I was always kind of an old soul, always kind of ahead of my time. Like my teachers were my friends, as opposed to the other kids in the class. I graduated high school a year early because I was done with high school. I wanted to be out in the world, and the best way to do that for me, to get out from under my parents' wings and to support myself, was to join the military. So my first duty station was in Italy, which was a huge factor for me because I chose the Navy over all the other branches of service because I figured that one would make me travel the most. So I got super lucky with my first duty station in Italy, did my 4 years, got out. It was kind of an easy transition to go back into government, even though my bachelor's degree was in travel administration. I worked in that field for a little bit, decided that corporate ladder probably wasn't going to be the best for me. So I ended up becoming a park ranger with the National Park Service. And I did that for 9 years. So so I did Arches National Park, Mojave National Preserve. My last park I was at for 7 years, Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. And at some point in that period of time, I mean, I got married and to a trust fund baby who thought about money a lot different than I did. I was super conservative, all about retirement, putting money away, living within your means, all that stuff. And of course, he thought money was free, came easy come, easy go. Anyway, somehow I got the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad into my hands. I think it was because of him. He is an ex now, so that's part of history. But everything in life happens for a reason, right? So I got this book, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My mind was blown because my whole paradigm about money shifted and about what money was as a tool versus being a slave to the money, being a slave, the whole employee, trade your time for money versus owning your business or being the investor. So I realized very quickly that the investors who I wanted to be, I wanted my money to make my money so I could free up my time, because time is the most valuable resource we have. And it is something you can't get more of, right? And it's limited because tomorrow is not promised by any means. So it took me about 2 years to transition my mindset from employee to I can do this other thing, which is investing. I ended up leaving the federal job. I became a real estate agent as a stepping stone to the investor, which turned out to be a really good step because I made quite a bit of money. I helped a lot of investors, built a team. So when I finally took the plunge from being a real estate agent to being what I am now, the digital nomad, I had a team. So I had passive income coming in that first year or so, which was last year, 2020. So in December 2019, I left. January 2020, I went to Thailand, launched my current business now, Freestyle Capital Group, from Thailand. And of course, COVID changed a lot of my travel plans, but I was nomadic domestically after that until this last winter. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got to where I am. I'm a capital raiser more than an operator. I don't look for deals. I look for good teams with deals. So I did that intentionally so I could work from anywhere in the world from a computer.
No, which I totally love, right? Because even what you were saying before with your background is that like you no longer wanted to be a slave even to the traditional 9 to 5, but even looking past that, like you also don't want to be a slave to this home, because like so many people buy this super expensive house to live in it, like, and to just be in one spot. So it's cool because, like, the way I see it, like, you even took it another step above and beyond, because so many people think you need that white picket fence in that home. And so many people think that you need that 9 to 5 to order to have like this fulfilled life. And you have definitely been like, nope, 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 you know? And so that's phenomenal within itself.
Yeah, the only thing I'm a slave to, I do have a car. So once in a while I have to get an oil change. Other than that, no mowing, no yard work, no cleaning. I mean, you know, in my space, I might clean wherever I am. But oh yes, it totally freed me up from the responsibility of just what daily life can be for people. I don't have kids, pets, plants, partners, problems, none of that. So
Oh, that was good.
so I mean, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? So life, I chose this life, but it's always kind of like, well, sometimes I'm like, well, what? I don't have a home. I'm not building equity. I'm not, you know, leveraging real estate, but I am, because I own other people's homes. So anyway.
Yeah, that's great. That resonates with Susie and I a lot, right? Because we look at all of our friends and a lot of them are house poor, right? And they buy a house that they can't afford, and then they're working to pay for the house that they live in, but never get to live in it because they're always working, right? So they never get to actually enjoy it. And so like Susie and I, like we're thinking when we move back to Colorado, we'll never buy a house there. First of all, the market is just ridiculous there, or anywhere in the States really, to buy a house right now. But we're like, well, we'll just buy an apartment complex and live in one of the units. And that's what we're actually probably going to end up doing, like house hacking a 200 unit or something like that, if you want to call it house hacking, apartment hacking. So yeah. And that's
Yeah.
ultimately because we don't want to be tied down anywhere. Like we want to be able to have the freedom like you to travel anywhere and work from anywhere. And that's why, big reason why we're setting up the systems and processes, just like you have as well, from here in England, to be able to invest back in the States, or to be able to invest from Thailand back in the States, or wherever you are. If you have the right systems in place, you can do it from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. So there's completely passive investing, which is, you know, your money making your money. I'm not there yet. I'm not financially free. I have a goal to be financially free in 2 to 3 years. So I take an active role. So it's kind of sweat equity, or sweat equity, but it's active investing where I'm taking an active role, and for that, in exchange, I get equity. So I always want the cash flow and the equity piece of any deal I do. And I guess to buy my food and pay my gas, you know, I need paydays once in a while for like acquisition fees. But for the most part, if I'm building the passive income and I have that coming in every month, you don't need the active income. So yeah, I'll be active as long as I feel like it. But once I'm financially free, then who knows? But yeah, the only thing you have to worry about when you're working from a computer and working with people is time zones. Thailand was very difficult to like work in the middle of the night or super late or whatever. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to figure it all out and travel, and yeah, just figure it out as I go.
Absolutely. And even within your background, like I see consistency with you serving others, right? Like in the military, you did that. With your, you know, public service job, you did that. Then in real estate investing, you did that. And even now as a capital raiser, it's all serving, you know? So have you looked at it that way? Because it's so very apparent. And, you know, with some individuals who don't necessarily see their, I guess, job as a place of service, like, how did you decide what you wanted to get into? Like, was it the service component?
So my heart went in the investing is what the space we play in, the syndication of these larger multi-million-dollar apartment complexes or other commercial real estate, used to be a rich man's game, right? That if you had to know someone to get in, and that's still the case. But there are people like you and me who are average people who have kind of got a glimpse of this potential, this possibility, and now we want to share it with our friends. So my heart is for the average person to be able to take advantage of these large deals with better returns, awesome tax benefits, secure investments, and even beyond just apartment complexes. There's so much, like every time you drive down a street, you're in a city, there are these huge skyscrapers, there are these buildings, people own those things. Why can't we as everyday people be part of that? Because you know wealth is being built, and you know there are tax benefits to being an investor and providing housing and providing, you know, building cities and making America a great place to live. Money is being made. Why can't we tap into that? So it's my service to introduce that to just everyday people. Honestly, that's where my heart is with all of this.
No, which I love. And I have a question, I guess, back to you, because I'm sure you get that answer or that question, like, how can I do this? And how do you explain that to people who don't necessarily know about real estate investing, right? Because even what you said, like before I started, I literally thought like millionaires owned apartment buildings. I had no idea that it was just, average regular people like you and myself. So what is like the biggest question, I guess, that you also get from past potential investors?
I think they're always skeptical because as a society, we're taught to invest in the stock market and invest with these, Wall Street bankers or whatever. And we just trust that for some reason. So that's usually the first hurdle to get over. They've heard about, the 2008 housing crisis. Everyone brings that up, or, just real estate is up and down just like anything, but so is the stock market. So those are some of the first questions I have to get through, explaining why 2008 is different than what's happening now, or the benefits of real estate. Because sometimes people just think of the real estate as some sort of return, but man, all the tax benefits to it, you have cash flow, you have equity, and yeah, it's really a boutique experience. So for me, I mean, I have a platform, I have a YouTube channel, I have all that stuff, but at the end of the day, what my business is just humans talking to humans. So each person, I try to speak to them from where they are, I guess, in their journey. And that conversation is different if they're new to it and they're not accredited and potentially not even sophisticated. We've got to get them to the sophisticated, or if they're, investors that are pretty strong in the stock market and they're trying to move over to real estate. So the conversation changes depending on the person's knowledge, I would say.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that you kind of touched on was like, you're talking about like the stock market and how people just like invest, and you have an investment advisor and they just invest for you and things like that. And it's just like so backwards, like, because you're told, which is unfortunate, like in the States, like you're raised and you're told, hey, do your own taxes and then pay somebody to manage your money for you. When it should be the opposite, right? You should definitely pay somebody to do your taxes because you don't know the IRS code, right? And then you need to make sure you're making your own investments for yourself because you know better than any financial advisor does, and they're going to take a cut. So yeah, it's just completely backwards. This is like a mindset shift that I had to make at some point in my life, and I think a lot of other people should be making.
I would say on that, with people taking responsibility for their money, I have met plenty of people that don't, and maybe they should invest in the stock market because it's taking responsibility for your money and doing what we do is, inviting other people and their money to deals is a huge responsibility. It takes a lot of vetting and a lot of research and due diligence and education. Like, I think people who want to invest in real estate, they do need to spend some time educating themselves because mistakes can be made. And not everyone out there with deals are good people. So I would say, yes, people should take responsibility and make wise decisions for their investments. But if they don't have the interest and they don't put in the time and education, then I would say, yeah, just do what the rest of America does and throw your money in the stock market. I just have to say that, to be honest, because sometimes with our own money, we don't make the best decisions, but we're better stewards of other people's money, maybe. I don't know. I think people are a little emotional sometimes with the decisions they make and their money. So yeah, education.
Yeah, I know. And the reason I wanted to ask you that, though, is just because like I've heard that question as well. And so I just want the listeners to know that, like, if they've had that question, you're not the only one, right? Like, other people are asking very similar questions. And yes, although we all have our own situations, we will always have our own questions, but collectively, a lot of us do have the same questions. And it's just as simple as that, right? Like, we all have blind spots, but we all have opportunities to learn and to gain that education. And just like Melanie said, the possibilities are endless for everyone. It doesn't just stop because you have one question. Like, your question is valid and other people are asking it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions, and they never stop. By the way, you never know everything. The more I learn, the more I'm exposed to something new. And then I have a new hurdle to learn. It's like constant learning. I don't think anybody knows everything by any means.
No.
Learn.
Yeah, and that's a great point as well, right? Like we will never know everything about real estate investing, but we also will never know everything about the stock market. It's literally all of it is up in the air. And like although you said you need to do, due diligence on the sponsorship team and even potentially the asset, but how come enough of America is not necessarily doing due diligence on companies, right? Because for the stock market, because yes, a stock could be doing well, but like, is the CEO treating its employees well? Like, do you really want to help somebody excel like their dream when they are not helping excel any single one of their employees? And like, that's what I love about real estate investing is that, right? Like, even within our sponsorship team, like, we are very open about our goals. We are very open about our partners' goals, but then we also want to take it a step further, like all of the residents that live in these communities, like we want to create a place that's not just a home, but a community. Like we want to make sure that, I mean, we will never know all of their goals, but if we can contribute even like 1% to have them start thinking about theirs and achieving them, then that's important as well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely when it's private, offering a private placement, you have more impact on the people and all the people involved, whether it's the investor, the tenant, or the employees. Yeah, definitely closer to touch than what the stock market is for sure.
Yeah. And so I have another question for you. So for a lot of people, like for Michael and I, originally when we were like, oh, we're in the UK, it was like, oh, how are you going to do that from all the way over there? Like, how do you address that question? Because although you go back and forth from, the United States to a different country, how does that work like with the questions that you're getting?
I'm pretty clear about what I do and where I fit into the picture. So I feel like I answer that question before they have to ask it. But I will make an effort to go to a property during due diligence, or I definitely make an effort to meet the sponsor team, my partners in the flesh. I spend a lot of time networking and meeting people because I think the people are the most important. The asset itself, of course, I want to show up and make sure there's something actually there, right? Make sure there is an apartment complex, that we're investing in. It's typically not an issue because I'm very clear with where I fit into the puzzle, and my lifestyle is part of my brand.
Yeah.
So when people speak to me, they already know I'm traveling, or the question is like, where are you now, Melanie? I'm like, where's Waldo, or where in the world is Carmen San Diego? That's me. So it's part of my brand. So I guess there's no specific question on how I do what I do, I guess.
No, and that's totally okay. And that's awesome. I love that it like fits into your brand so well that people already know. Like that's phenomenal within itself.
Yeah, I'm big on authenticity and being genuine and just honest. And this is who I am. I mean, I fought it for a long time, had the job, did the career path or whatever. And it was a constant struggle, constant friction. It wasn't who I was. But now I am very authentic with who I am because I want to travel and be nomadic, at least for now, maybe not forever. But yeah, I think people resonate with that. And it's interesting. Yeah, they find me, I guess.
Yeah, no, which I love. What do you plan to do once you do go passive? Like, do you still want to travel and be all over? Like, what is even like 5 years out? What does that look like for you?
I have no idea.
That's okay.
I mean, I can't tell you who I'm going to be in 5 years or what I'm going to want in 5 years. I can only plan, for a path that I think I want to be on. I mean, maybe in 5 years, I'll be working even more and start some business or have a nonprofit. I don't know. Maybe I'll just sit on a beach and sip coconut water. I really don't know, except my first destination is financial freedom. And that's about 2 to 3 years out. Yeah, sorry, that's probably not very exciting.
No,
5 year goal, 10-year goal. I mean,
no,
I'm just trying to be present and live each day,
No, which is great because even that's all about meditation, like just being present in the day. Because so many of us, I'm actually love your answer because so many of us are looking forward and so many of us are focusing on the past that we're actually not like loving every part of like what we're in right now. So no, your answer was actually phenomenal because more people need to hear it. Like we don't need 5 and 10 years goals because like you said, we need to figure out like what we're doing right now, right? For Michael and I, our whole thing is just, what are we going to do? How can we get to where Michael retires in 7 years? But like, that's our goal, is that we need to get to that 7 years, you know, and because that's just the timeline that we're in. So no, your answer was phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that.
I think my 5-year goal is not necessarily monetarily or lifestyle, but I just want peace. I want to be happy. I know that's kind of cheesy to just say happy, because I am happy. I don't need to be happy. I am, but I just want peace in my daily life, whatever that is at the moment. And I'm pretty simple. I'm very minimalistic. I'm about memories and about experiences. I'm not about things. So, I mean, yes, I'd like to have stability for my future in a home that I can, you know, be an old lady in at some point. But man, I'm still in my 30s. At the end of my 30s, but still in my 30s. So not too worried about that one yet.
Yeah, no, completely. And that is great, you know, because like what stability means to you is completely different from what stability means to Michael and I and to any of the other listeners out there. So like stability does not fit in a box. It is built for everyone and what that means for everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I love though too is that like you are using real estate investing to create like your best life, right? Like you've created the biggest impact on yourself. And because you've done that for yourself, you can serve others. And I know that like Rich Dad, Poor Dad did it for you. And I know we chatted about like you serving others, but what other like impacts are you seeing from it? Like with even within your investors or potentially within your family, like how have you seen that shift by being able to offer these type of investments to them?
I would say one of my main things I talk about, besides real estate's great and you can make money, is the financial freedom piece. Like, what is financial freedom? What is time freedom? What is lifestyle design? Like, we don't have to do this 9 to 5, this career, this golden handcuffs thing. Like, you have options. So I would say the lifestyle design piece. People see me traveling, they see me living like this, and then wonder how the heck that's possible. And uh, I'm hoping that I'm inspiring people to believe that anything is possible, that they design intentionally and set out, take action toward. Like you can do anything you want, you can have any lifestyle you want. So I guess it's just a seed. I'm hoping I'm planting a seed and inspiring people to like come up with their own lifestyle design, because you can do anything. You don't have to live my lifestyle, but it might be something else for someone else. That's what I hope I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that word there, like lifestyle design, right? Because a lot of people, they, you go graduate high school, you go to college, you get a job, you get married, you buy the house, white picket fence, you have kids, you're in this thing, and then a lot of times, majority of Americans at the end, like they hit their 40-year mark, and they're like, this is not what I want to be doing. I thought I was doing the thing I wanted to do because I'm told, society told me to do this, right? And then you end up very unhappy in your, either at 40 or shortly thereafter. And I love that you're trying to spread the word about lifestyle design and show people, hey, you can actually create the life that you want, not what you are forced into, which is really incredible. So yeah, I believe, I think that you're making an impact. We could see the impact that you're making, by being able to share your lifestyle and be able to, be an inspiration to others, which is really incredible.
Thanks. I mean, maybe it's the millennial in me. I'm an old millennial, but I am one. Like pushing back on society. My favorite question as a child was why? Because it's not why to test adults. That's how they always took it from me. But it was a why, because if I knew a why, I could understand something.
Yes.
If I knew a why, then maybe I could form a different opinion or go a different direction with something. But yeah, I definitely push on society norms, and I have always done that ever since I was a child. So yeah, life is beautiful. Life, you get one, and there's no right way to do it. And this is another thing that travel does, and maybe you guys can relate. I have been posting about this a lot on social media because it just resonates with me right now, is when you travel, your mind gets blown. Because go to India and try to not be changed. Like go to Thailand and try to not be changed. Like, how come in America we think we've got it all figured out, and our lifestyle, how we live, is the way we're supposed to be? I mean, man, India was one of the wackiest places I've ever been. So different from our culture. So I like to go and absorb, and I like to be persuaded. I like to be moved. I like my beliefs to be challenged. I like my societal norms to be challenged. So travel has just blown that up. I was always that way as a child, but travel has really given me opportunity to really sit back and be like, oh, well, I thought this, I believed this, and now I don't know if I was right. Why am I so attached to my beliefs? Anyway, it's fun. Life is beautiful, and it can be whatever you create your life to be. It's kind of like a little game.
Yeah, that's great. And that's why Susie and I is like life or relationship hashtag is like road to 100 countries. And like, because we know the power of travel and we know the power of experience in other cultures. And we really enjoy that. And we know like how much it actually can expand your mind. Like it completely resets your thinking. And that's actually how Susie and I ended up meeting. That's a whole nother story, but like at like a TEDx conference, the whole theme was reset, right? And that's kind of like, that was like a springboard for our entire relationship. So now we love that concept, right? Like experience in other cultures and then resetting your thinking about like whatever you were taught to think, and just like resetting that whole mind, or just having a whole mindset shift towards other cultures and being very open.
Yeah, big impact on my life. The book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, huge. And then of course I'm a yogi and studied, and that's why I was in India to study. I'm also a Christian, so I don't want that to, I'm not like all woo woo, but it's interesting. Like I'm happy to learn all different angles, and I think every belief system has truth in it, right? So I love to learn about other religions and different ways of thinking. And this is kind of what has formed me, like Power of Now, living in the present moment, not worrying about the future, not planning too far in the future because the future's not promised. And it's never going to happen, by the way. The past never actually happened. Everything always happens in the present moment. Right? So I don't know. Maybe I am woo-woo.
No, like how I would really describe you as curious. Like that.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
like the way
That
you ask why is the way you say like you won't be impacted, or how can you not be impacted? When you go to different places, what you read and what you look into, it's literally just a whole curious mind, which I think is phenomenal. I wish way more people were so curious, because so I won't go like too far into this rabbit hole, but like America Americanizes everything, and the curious minds get out there. And when you get out there, you appreciate so much more. You appreciate your present moment so much more than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, one of the 8 limbs of yoga is non-attachment, attaching to identity, attaching to labels, attaching to our own beliefs. So that's been a huge shift for me, because this attachment to the lifestyle, the white picket fence, the how I'm supposed to live. Once I mean, yoga might actually be what pushed me also toward this lifestyle and toward real estate and toward a mindset shift from, go to school, get a job, get good grades, all that stuff, to no, be an entrepreneur, follow your dreams, follow your passion. What keeps you up at night? What do you think about? What do you lose sleep over? Because that's what you should actually be doing, because that is who you are.
Absolutely.
And we're born who we are. And it's the life path is to find who that is and develop that, right?
Yeah, we were
potential.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we were all born to make an impact. We just have to figure out what that impact is.
Yeah.
And so speaking just briefly about detachment, like Susie, just recently, in the past several months, like detached her identity from like her W-2, right? That was a huge thing. Because there, and me too, like I am an Air Force officer, like that's my W-2, but like I'm not just that. Like I'm an entrepreneur at heart first, like you're saying, and then like, which has led us into starting several different businesses now. But yeah, with Susie detaching herself from the W-2, now she has the freedom, and she's actually gonna be leaving her job, or W-2 in August to go real estate full time, which is really, really exciting. So
yeah, now I can tell you guys are definitely in your zone. The content, the consistency, you guys are doing awesome. So I think you're in your zone, in your impact, in your passion, and whatever.
I love it. Yeah. So unfortunately, Melanie, it's coming towards the end of the show, which brings us to the Adventurous 4. These are 4 exploratory questions we ask all of our guests. So the first question is, where is one place you wish to travel and why?
So right now, at the top of my list is Kenya,
Ooh.
because I don't know why, like all sorts of things came together. I want to do a safari, and I chose Kenya because in college I had to write a paper on like the Masai Mara and travel. Because remember, my bachelor's degree is in travel administration, so there was this thing about the Masai Mara people and safaris. But also, I'm on my, I think, third child now with Miracle House that I support a child at a school there in Kenya. So I want to do a safari, and then I want to go volunteer at the school.
I
That's
love
really cool.
that. I
Yeah.
do. So then the second question is, what is the number one thing on your bucket list and how are you leveraging real estate investing to achieve it?
So my bucket list is pretty much just travel stuff. There's not like something to do besides travel. So since I already asked or answered the bucket list travel one, I'll just say my bucket list life goal is to just be financially free so I can travel freely. And I don't know what that looks like. At the moment, I like to spend like a month when I do go places, but maybe 3 months, could be a year. But yeah, my bucket list item is to be financially free so I can travel freely and keep experiencing cultures, but not as a tourist necessarily. I really want to spend time in places. So real estate, doing that, of course, having equity, passive income is what gives me financial freedom.
I love it. Yep. That's what we're using real estate for as well. So that's cool. So the third question is, what is one piece of advice for someone who's wanting to start passively investing in real estate?
So we talked about this kind of earlier, being the capital raiser that I am. My whole job is to find deals and vet deals and bring those to investors. And I do it full time, and it takes a lot of energy, experience. So for people, if they're going to invest in real estate and do their own investments or whatever, they need education. They need to take it serious. They need to take responsibility for their money and growing their money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to do that, then pay a wealth manager on Wall Street a ton of money to manage your money for you. I don't think that's the best way, but education.
And then the fourth and final question is, if you had unlimited resources available to you, how would you leave an impact?
Honestly, to be true to who I am, I don't have this big vision of like helping millions and millions of people. To me, it's individual humans connecting one-on-one, having a boutique experience, and then impacting those individuals. If I had all sorts of money, I would be like, oh, I would listen in. Oh, they really need this car. Or, hey, they really need this help. Or, oh, they had this medical thing. I mean, helping individuals it's the impact I want. I want to stay boutique small. I want to connect with humans. I don't need a huge platform. I don't need to know thousands of people. But if I can impact 100 people in my life, I feel like that would be worthwhile.
No, it would.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, before we end the show, Melanie, would you mind sharing with our audience how they can get a hold of you?
Well, yeah, my Instagram is at Freestyle Capital Group. Everything's Freestyle Capital Group. So on my email, Melanie at Freestyle Capital Group, freestylecapitalgroup.com. You can join the investor club. That's the best way to like get access to deals. But people can connect with me on Instagram, probably would be the best, or I'm even on Clubhouse. But that one is at Melanie McDaniel, not Freestyle Capital Group. But pretty easy to find out there, I would say.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, and I'll make sure to add that to all the show notes. So Melanie, thank you so much for joining us today. It is always a pleasure. I do truly enjoy sharing the same space as you. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Awesome. Well, until next time, explore more, adventure awaits.
Woo!